Taylor stepped into a small coffee shop tucked away on a narrow street in downtown Philadelphia, the kind of place that seemed immune to the noise of the world outside. There were no influencers snapping photos, no curated playlists humming in the background, just the soft hiss of the espresso machine and the faint clatter of porcelain cups. The windows were fogged from the autumn chill, catching streaks of golden morning light. It was the sort of place people came to disappear, and today, Taylor needed exactly that. Her eyes scanned the room until she saw Kylie, sitting in the far corner, shoulders slightly hunched, her fingers wrapped tightly around a coffee cup as if trying to draw heat back into her body. There was something brittle in her posture, something that made Taylor's chest tighten. 3 days ago, Kylie had sent a text, just 5 words that had refused to leave Taylor's mind since. "Can we meet?" Just us, no emojis, no explanation, just quiet urgency that carried more fear than words ever could. Kylie had given birth to Finley 2 days before, a beautiful, healthy baby boy, or so everyone had believed. Taylor and Travis had gone to the hospital, taken pictures, laughed softly as they held the newborn, Aunt Taylor and Uncle Travis beaming with pride. But this morning had changed everything. A doctor's furrowed brow, a nurse's quick whisper, something about Finley's breathing, something about the faint blue tinge of his lips. Then came words that didn't belong anywhere near a cradle: congenital heart defect, specialists, surgery. Now, as Taylor slid into the chair across from Kylie, she could see the weight of all that in the other woman's face. "He's stable," Kylie said finally, her voice steady but thin, like it might splinter if she spoke too loudly. "The doctors say he's strong. They're amazed at how well he's doing." Taylor reached out, covering Kylie's trembling hands with her own. "That's good," she whispered, her voice soft. "That's really good." Kylie nodded, staring down at her coffee for a long moment. Then, without looking up, she said quietly, "Taylor, that's not why I asked you here." Kylie finally lifted her eyes, and the look in them made Taylor's stomach twist. It wasn't anger or sadness. It was something deeper, something like fear wrapped in love. She took a slow breath before speaking. "Taylor," she began softly, "I need to talk to you about something important, about what it means to marry into this family." "The Kelce family?" Her voice wavered for a second, then steadied. "Because you're going to marry Travis. I know you are, and before you say yes to that ring, before you walk down that aisle, there are things you need to hear, things no one else will tell you." Taylor blinked, confused. Her heart began to thud faster. "Kylie, what do you mean?" But Kylie didn't answer right away. She looked around the coffee shop, checking corners, watching people's reflections in the window, before leaning forward, her voice dropping to a whisper that barely rose above the hum of the espresso machine. "Being married to an NFL player, especially a Kelce, it's not what it looks like from the outside," she said. "It's not the cute family dinners, the stadium cheers, the picture-perfect Instagram posts. There's another side to it, Taylor, a harder side, and you need to know what you're really signing up for." Taylor reached across the table, her fingers brushing Kylie's. She could feel the tension vibrating under her skin. "Kylie, you're scaring me. What's going on?" Kylie hesitated. Her lips trembled as she exhaled, like the truth itself was painful to let out. "I love Jason. I love our kids. I love our life," she said finally. "But if someone had sat me down before I married him, if someone had told me what this world really takes from you, I would have made different choices. I would have protected myself better. I would have held on to more of who I was before I became Jason Kelce's wife." Taylor's throat tightened. The warmth of the cafe suddenly felt suffocating. "What are you saying?" she whispered. Kylie's eyes filled, but her voice sharpened, clear and certain. "I'm saying that in this family, in this world, you will always come second. Always. Football comes first. The team comes first. The game, the training, the recovery, the pressure, all of it. And somewhere after all that, you come in." Taylor's breath caught. "That's not Travis," she said almost defensively. "He's always made time for me. He puts us first." Kylie gave a small knowing smile, but her eyes carried the weight of experience. "He does now," she said quietly, "because it's the off-season, because there's space to breathe. But when the season starts, when the games begin and the pressure builds, you'll see a different side. Not because he stops loving you, but because football consumes him. It consumes everything." She paused, her gaze softening. "And I just don't want you to be blindsided the way I was." For a long moment, the only sound between them was the faint clinking of spoons and the soft hum of a conversation from nearby tables. Taylor stared at Kylie, trying to process what she'd just said. "Kylie," she began carefully, "you make it sound like being married to Jason cost you something." Kylie gave a hollow little laugh, one that didn't reach her eyes. "It did," she said simply. "Jason is a good man, Taylor, the best. He's a wonderful father, a loving husband, and I wouldn't trade him for the world. But somewhere along the way, I traded myself." Taylor frowned, leaning forward. "What do you mean?" Kylie's hands tightened around her coffee cup, her knuckles pale. "Before Jason, I had a life, a career, ambitions, things that were mine. But once you become a wife in this world, especially an NFL wife, your life stops belonging entirely to you. Suddenly, every schedule revolves around his training, every weekend around his games, every emotion around his performance. And it happens slowly. So slowly you don't even realize it's happening until one day you look in the mirror and don't recognize the woman staring back." Taylor's eyes filled with empathy and fear. "But I'm not giving up my career," she said softly. "Travis knows that. He's proud of me. He comes to my shows. He supports what I do." Kylie nodded, a sad little smile touching her lips. "He supports it now," she said, her tone gentle but firm. "But what happens when your world collides with his? When you're on a 6-month tour and he's in the middle of playoffs? When you're at the top of your career, but his team loses the Super Bowl and he's drowning in frustration? What happens when you need him and he can't be there because missing a game isn't an option?" Taylor's mouth opened, but no words came. She felt her heart ache at the truth in Kylie's voice. "And don't think it's just about football," Kylie continued, her gaze unwavering. "It's about identity. Once you're married, people stop seeing you as you. You become the accessory to his success, the wife behind the player, the one smiling in the background of his highlight reels. Even when your name is Taylor Swift, even when you've built your own empire, they'll still say, 'Travis Kelce's wife.'" Taylor swallowed hard, the words cutting deeper than she wanted to admit. "That's not fair," she whispered. Kylie gave a small, weary shrug. "No, it's not. But it's real." The two women sat in silence for a while. Outside, the wind brushed against the windows, and the city carried on, oblivious. Then Taylor asked the question she'd been afraid to say out loud. "Is that what happened to you, Kylie? Did Jason put football before you?" Kylie looked down at her hands, her wedding ring glinting in the muted light. "Jason didn't mean to," she said softly. "But the truth is, the game always wins. It always has. And if you're not careful, Taylor, it'll take more from you than you ever intended to give." Kylie took a deep breath, her fingers trembling slightly as she set her coffee cup down. The noise of the cafe seemed to fade, as if the walls themselves knew what was coming next. "There's something else you need to understand," she said quietly. "Something not just about the NFL, but about this family." Taylor tilted her head, curious and uneasy. "What do you mean?" Kylie hesitated, searching for the right words. "Donna," she said finally, her voice softening. "Travis's mom. She's incredible. Strong, loving, fiercely protective of her boys. I adore her. I really do. But, Taylor, she has expectations." Taylor frowned. "Expectations?" "Yes." Kylie's gaze darkened. "For her sons' wives, for how we should act, how we should support them, how we should prioritize family above everything else. And if you don't live up to those expectations—" She paused, exhaling slowly. "She'll never say it directly. She's far too kind and too smart for that. But you'll feel it. In her words, in the looks, in the little comments that stay with you long after dinner's over." Taylor leaned back, stunned. "Like what?" Kylie's lips pressed into a thin smile that didn't hide the hurt behind it. "Oh, little things," she said. "Comparisons, mostly. When the boys were young, I always put them first." Or, "A good wife knows when to step back." She never means them cruelly, but the message is clear. Family should always come before your own life. Taylor's throat went dry. "And she said that to you?" Kylie nodded. "Not in those exact words, but yes. Enough times that it echoed in my head whenever I tried to make choices for myself. And it works, Taylor. It wears you down. The guilt, the pressure to be perfect, to be the kind of wife everyone expects you to be." She took a breath, eyes glistening. "And with you, it'll be even harder. Because you're you. You have the biggest career in the world. You live on your own schedule, make your own rules. That's going to clash with what this family expects." Taylor looked down at the table, tracing the rim of her cup with her finger. Her voice was small when she finally spoke. "So what are you saying, Kylie? Are you telling me not to marry him?" Kylie's head snapped up instantly. "No," she said firmly. "God, no. I'm not telling you not to marry Travis. I'm telling you to go into it with your eyes open, to know what you're stepping into before it swallows you whole." She reached across the table and gripped Taylor's hands, her voice urgent now. "Set boundaries, Taylor. Protect your career, your independence, your sense of self. Because if you don't, no one else will. Not the league, not the fans, not even the people who love you most. And I say that because I've lived it." Taylor felt her heart twist as she saw the mixture of love and pain in Kylie's eyes. This wasn't bitterness, it was protection, a warning wrapped in sisterhood. "I know Travis loves you," Kylie continued softly. "But love isn't always enough when the world keeps pulling you in opposite directions. You have to fight for who you are, even when it's easier to let yourself fade into his story." The air between them grew still. Outside, the late morning sun shifted through the cafe windows, tracing slow, golden lines across the table. But neither woman moved. Taylor studied Kylie's face, searching for something behind the calm words and measured tone. What she saw instead was exhaustion, the kind that doesn't come from sleepless nights, but from years of carrying something heavy and unspoken. "Kylie," Taylor said quietly, "what mistakes did you make? What would you do differently? If you could go back?" Kylie didn't answer at first. She stared down at her wedding ring, twisting it slowly, the metal catching the light like a memory. When she finally spoke, her voice trembled. "I would have kept my job," she said. "I would have insisted on keeping a part of myself that wasn't defined by Jason or by our kids. I would have made boundaries early, instead of trying to be the perfect wife, the perfect daughter-in-law, to make everyone happy." Her words hit Taylor like a slow, steady ache. Kylie's eyes glistened, but she didn't look away. "I wish I'd told Jason that support doesn't just mean showing up to my milestones. It means truly participating in them, being present in the parts of my life that don't revolve around him. Because I was always there for his. Every game, every flight, every press conference. But when it came to mine," she exhaled shakily, "I didn't fight for it. I let it slip away." Taylor felt her heart tighten. "You miss the person you were," she said softly. Kylie nodded. "Every day," she admitted. "I love my family. I love my husband more than I can ever say. But sometimes I mourn the version of myself I left behind. The woman who had her own dreams, her own direction. The woman who didn't ask permission to be herself." For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The quiet between them wasn't empty. It was full of unspoken understanding. Finally, Taylor whispered, "I don't want to lose myself, Kylie. I don't want to wake up one day and realize I've become someone else's shadow." Kylie reached across the table again, gripping her hands tight. Not gently this time, but with fierce, protective energy. "Then don't," she said. "Promise me you won't. Be Taylor Swift, who happens to be married to Travis Kelce, not Travis Kelce's wife who used to be Taylor Swift. Make him understand that your career, your dreams, your freedom matter just as much as his." Taylor nodded, her throat tight, tears pressing at the corners of her eyes. Kylie's next words landed like a vow. You have power, Taylor. You have a voice. You have leverage that I never had. You don't need him for money or fame or validation. You need him only for love. And that's the purest kind there is. But even love needs boundaries. Protect yours. They sat in silence for a while. Two women from wildly different worlds, united by love for the same family and the same man in different ways. Around them, the cafe had begun to fill with the easy rhythm of late-morning chatter, but it all faded into static. Only the truth between them remained. Kylie took a slow sip of her now-cold coffee, then spoke again, her voice quieter but steadier, the tone of someone who decided to lay everything bare. "There's more," she said. "Things people don't talk about. Not in interviews, not on social media, not even in private. The life of an NFL wife. It's not just about supporting your husband. It's about surviving the expectations that come with him." Taylor tilted her head slightly, listening. "You'll be judged for everything," Kylie continued. "What you wear to the games. How often you're seen in the stands. What you post on Instagram. If you smile too much, they'll say you're playing a part. If you don't smile enough, they'll say you're ungrateful. And when your husband loses, they'll blame you, like your presence or your absence somehow affects the score." Taylor's brows furrowed. "That sounds exhausting." Kylie gave a humorless laugh. "It is. The wives' circle, it's its own world. There's support, yes, but there's also competition. Everyone pretending to have it all together while secretly wondering if they've given up too much. You're expected to be perfect, not just for the cameras but for the brand. Because in the NFL, everything is a brand." Taylor sat back, letting the words sink in. "And the family pressure," Kylie added softly. "It never stops. Everyone wants the next big announcement, the engagement, the wedding, the kids. There's this